Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to our monthly webinar today. We're very excited to be bringing you the new enhancements with our 1907 version, focusing on some of the changes we've got going in product level forecasting, new user fields, and quite a new features with our multi-echelon module. I'm going to introduce, it's the customer success team that brings these webinars to you every month. And we do look forward to any feedback from our user community for topics for these webinars. So please, we'd love to have them. The housekeeping, just going over real quick, we do keep everyone on mute to reduce the background noise. We do also have these sessions recorded for you to view for training purposes and or refresher information at a later date. We do post them on our support site, as well as we do have them on our YouTube channel. Linda and I will walk you through some of these enhancements, and then Stuart will bring showing them to you in the live demonstration. And of course, we always like to have you all ask us questions. So if you do have questions, please feel free to enter them in the Q&A box that's at the bottom toolbar of the screen, or you can submit them to us after the webinar. We will leave some time at the end of the session to answer any questions that any of you have. This is our team. You can always reach out to us directly, or we do have a general mailbox, which is customersuccess@softvision.com. And these are just the different locations for the recordings. Again, we do have them on YouTube, as well as they will be available to you on Freshdesk. We will let you know when these recordings are available.
So the 1907 release information and all other releases, information for them can be found on our support site. If you go on the support site, you can search for Softvision Suite, release information, and then by folder, you'll see 1907 and all the other previous versions we've released. And within each folder, you'll see the release notes, any installation instructions, and other documentation that may be related to the release.
Great. So one of the new enhancements that we have with this particular version is we have added 20 additional user fields. So currently there are 8. User 1 and user 2 fields are numeric only. The 3 through 8 were alphanumeric combinations up to 50 characters, and now you've got 20 additional ones. So we have them on the product master, the item master, and the offer. This is great for you to be able to add additional attributes of how you want to either group products or run reports on. You could do, fabrication, color palettes, any kind of theme possible that you have out there that you can now utilize. Wherever you see the user fields today, throughout all of the screens and all of our reporting, you will now have these 20 additional fields. You will want to make sure, though, you go to the administration module to make sure that you define what these user fields will be for easier reference.
So we've also added a new comment screen for Product Master. So you will notice if you go into Offer Product Comments, this is now a tab screen, so you have the option that you can enter Offer Product Comments or Product Master Comments, or if you go in at the SKU level, you can see Offer Item or Item Master Comments, and you can flip back and forth between each. So, and just a reminder to everybody, if you see a dog ear or a tick mark in a column, that means that a comment is displayed, and you'll usually see these within product description, product ID, item description, item ID, or offer information. And so comments are a great tool for people to use to communicate information across your organization. Key facts about the offer, the product, or the SKU, such as, those situations where someone may have asked you to bump up a forecast and you want to record who and the quantity on a given date, or a great way to communicate quality information when you're still in the assortment planning, or availability issues that can feed over to the inventory team. So again, use comments to be able to communicate and store information within your organization to be able for everyone to see.
All right, we have introduced in product level forecasting the ability to sort on the descriptor ID. This is one of the top voted enhancements from our last user conference. So all you need to do is click on the ID field. You can sort ascending and descending. And if you want to restore back to the default setting, you simply need to hit the refresh icon on the ribbon bar and it will restore to the default order. It is available on all 3 descriptors. So even though I have just descriptor 1 displayed here, you can do the sorting on descriptors 2 and 3 as well. And this is ideal. It's user preference for viewing and it will help with your productivity.
So another item that was top voted at the user conference was the ability to highlight selected cells within the PLF screen. And then within that, we will give you the average, the count, and the sum of those selected cells. So the cells can be highlighted by using a drag and drop option, or you can highlight them by using the shift control where you pick, for instance, row 1, 3, and 5. The information can be done at the active offer level or in the historical offer level. So this is a great tool, and just a reminder to everybody, your status bar must be displayed from the view ribbon for you to be able to see the average, the count, and the sum of the information. So this is a great option for people to be able to quickly analyze performance for a product as you're looking at your forecasting, or to be able to select certain cells to be able to see that average or sum of information without having to use the select criteria to further define and filter your offers. So good performance improvement.
All right, we have given you an additional place to create a dummy SKU or a placeholder. You now can do this through the product wizard. All you need to do is check the box to generate product ID, and it will simply create this on the fly for you. So giving you just extra opportunity to create these types of dummy SKUs or placeholders without having to be in the maps planning module.
And in the materials planning screen, this was also voted one of our top items at the user conference. So within the materials planning, in the product item relationship section, you will now have the ability that any groupings you select will be saved as your user default. So the next time you open that screen, that grouping will be available when you go to SKU tabs. So, and again, you can filter by location, you can filter by descriptor, whether it be color or size. So great performance improvement, less keystrokes when you're working within the materials planning screen.
All right, for those of you that have suggested purchase order, we have made a modification in the vendor order review screen. 2 of the columns that are in the bottom grid are the average demand and sold last week. Currently, what that displays is the total warehouse. We are now giving you a parameter that gives you the option to change that. So instead of seeing the total of the whole company in those excuse me, in those columns, you now can change with the parameter setting, have it display for that destination warehouse only. We wanted to give you more options to be able to make those decisions. And if you need any help or direction in what you should be setting this for, it's obviously most important for your business, but by all means, reach out to your customer success consultant to help. Now, one of the changes that is really important that Linda's going to be talking about refers to our multi-echelon module. For those of you that are not familiar with multi-echelon, this is a great tool for those of you that are wanting to inventory and or move inventory between more than one location. So this is great if you've got additional warehouses, if you've got stores. This tool allows you to allocate demand based on those locations and how your customers purchase, and then we consume it all into the master scheduling module, which will then recommend either transfers or purchase orders depending on where your need is. So with a lot of feedback from our current clients that are using it, we are continuously making improvements to this module, and now we're going to start showing you some of those changes we've put in place.
So one of them is our ability that we will be able to create and allocate transfers or against a requisition when you write it for the vendor. So today you would create your requisition to the vendor, and when inventory is received, then you go in and you create your transfer orders after the fact. Now, when you create that order to the vendor, you can actually allocate the inventory to the supplying locations at the same time. So the transfer orders will remain in a holding status within our system, and when the inventory arrives, they will automatically be released. One note with this is you must be interfacing the REC interface or historic receipts to us, because that's how our system identifies when the transfer has been received. There is an option when you are creating a requisition that you can opt out of this feature. There's a checkbox that will be available, and it will remember what your last used option was when you create your next requisition. So this is a great tool that if you are creating new orders, such as floor stock product, and you're going to create that transfer and send it out to the stores as soon as it arrives, this allows you to be able to do that at the same time. But then also the inventory will be visible for all locations, both at the supplying location and at the receiving locations if you're doing the transfer replenishment.
All right, an additional change, we're all about trying to get you information quicker and faster to be able to make your decisions. So what we've done on the scheduled receipts tab is we've had transfers listed and we've had receipts listed. So now what we've done is we've added a third tab where we've consolidated that information. So all future transfers and requisitions are now on this tab. Again, just trying to get you that information with less clicks.
Another feature for replenishment across locations is that we've modified the transfer order review screen. We will now be using ending quantity on hand when suggesting transfers versus beginning quantity on hand. And we've also added the two fields, supplier beginning on hand and supplier ending on hand, to the transfer order review screen. Again, just trying to make it easier and faster performance-wise for the users. This will also ensure that we eliminate any potential overages for receipts by switching from the beginning to the ending on-hand quantities in a given week.
All right, one of the other features that we have with multi-echelon is we give you the ability in that warehouse allocation to create product groups. And these are groups of products that you want to gather together. A real simple example is if you've got a specific category, we can make that category a product group and give it its own demand allocation, dependent on where the customer demand is coming from. What we've done is we've given you the option now to utilize a checkbox that auto updates this product group. Currently, if you have any products that are new to that, in this example, new to the men's category, you would have to come into product group maintenance and you'd have to add the new product to this. By checking this box now, with based on the search criteria that you have for this particular product group, as the data is interfaced through the IP, we will pick up those products and automatically add them to the product groups for you. So what's really important about this is we're making sure that your product groups are as current as possible, and it's also eliminating some manual work for you. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Stuart.
Thanks, Janine. I'm going to connect to a sample dashboard, and we'll see some of these enhancements in action. So first screen is I'm in administration and field labels. So this is where you could change the labels for all of these user fields. Now this is a new functionality. It's just that we've added much more user fields so that you could have all of these attributes and information within maps, PLF, and also reporting. Field labels is where you could go in and change the labels and the way they show so they make some sense here. You could use things like basic or fabric. Other companies I've seen have used ensemble or group code. That's good for grouping together, let's say, bedding products or patio products, you know, basically by pattern. Or for apparel, you could group together Missy, Petite, and Regular and be able to group these, to see these. Could also add something like holiday. You know, maybe you have Christmas or Halloween items spanning different categories and subcategories. So it would be good to be able to group these together. So again, this is based on your business. You now have more selection here in Product Master and item master to be able to go in and make these changes and be able to see this information. You could see fabric here, let's say on item master, or customize, or maybe palette. You know, it's possible. A lot of companies have so many different colors that they've added in different shades. Maybe you could interface blue or red and then be able to combine them on reports just to see. So again, these are just different examples. Offer, we have the first four. This isn't used much, but basically the offer comments is added in marketing in the miscellaneous tab, and then in PLF you could use that as a filter. But the big change here is this product and item master that we've added. Now also, I want to show you in interfaces, you have the ability to determine whether you're going to interface these fields or whether it's going to be application owned. So again, based on these, you could have host owned and you could interface some of these user fields. Some others you could do application owned. And then within Softvision, you could come in and make those changes. And that's both on the product and the item master. So let's go to maps and see how this is used. So I'm in a particular category in maps, and you see these are the user fields that are here. And you should go in and customize these and be able to bring over the ones, and maybe the ones that you've, changed the headings on, and bring those into your view. You could sort on these. So here you could see ensemble. I have different ensembles, both in the forecast and in my comparable history. Here's fabric, here's holiday. Now what's nice about these is you could group by these. So if I bring that in there to group, you can now see the total for the entire group. So you can see how my pattern's doing. What's my forecast and what's my history. Right? And that's good information to see how the whole pattern is doing. Might be information that you could send to your vendors to show your forecast for the entire pattern. So again, a lot of good information that's here, and being able to group it is a big plus. For the item master fields, if I right click here and go to display SKUs, you could see here in display SKUs you have these user fields, and you could customize these to bring in all the different user fields that are here. And again, here's something where I did palette. So I have all different blues here. I could group this and then be able to see. And again, that's just a basic idea that you could use. So again, more information here to group, and that these would be the item master comments. Okay, now the way you enter these, like I said, you could either interface them or you could go have it in the application. If you go to the product master, you could see these different fields that are here. And if you're, have it in the application, just double click and, you could put in here any type of information. It's a free form field, both in your product master and in your item master. All right, that's the user fields. Now I'm going to go on to the comments. So we've always had offer product comments, and you could see here, if I highlight it, you could read what that comment is. So this is specific for this offer. There's a comment that says show as inset, but it's specific for that offer. If you add products from other comparable offers, those offer products do not carry forward. You also might have new products, and again, if it's not assigned to an offer, you're not going to see it. So we added the ability to put on product master and item master comments. So those show here by this little red tick, and then you could see these are product master comments. As these are added to offers, this information will follow through. And you see I have different comment types. That's actually in administration if you set them up. You don't have to, but we do have the ability to go in and do some comment types. So you could do default, general, layout, any of these. And then when you go in and you do the comments, you could go in there and use those. So you would right click, add enter comments. You could do it on the offer product or product master. And it brings up both tabs, so you could go in here. So you could see here, you could enter a new one. This is where you could go in here, make changes to it, or you could, just add something here, testing offer, save and exit, and then you'll see that here. All right, and for these different categories, that's why you see these comment types, you're able to see a lot of this information that's here. For item master comments, you would go to display SKUs. So here you see I have an item master comment. Here it's a light blue shade. And the way you would enter these is you would right click and add offer item or item comments. Again, just like the product level, you could put offer item comments or product master comments here. And this is where you would see them. Now, the other place we could look at is in product level forecast. So we have these user fields, and you see I have the user fields that are here. Again, customize these. I would see my offer product comments like here, but I don't see my product master comments. It's tough to add these to each one, so you would go here and go to comments, and then you would see your product master comments. Okay, and those would come up here. You could also add them here or delete them. So either here or in maps, you could come in here and do those. And it's the same with the item master comments. Okay, so you would have those here. So really good information that you want to copy from product to product. And, you can make a lot of good use on that. I'm going to go back to maps to show one feature here, and that's new product. So we added this checkbox to generate a product ID. So this will automatically generate the next one in the sequence. If I go in and save this one and I have this checked, the next time I would add a new item, it would bring in the next product number. So that automatically does it. So actually, it's telling me it already exists. Okay, let me try that differently. There we go. I guess I needed to start there. So again, this generates that product ID. You could see here, here's your user fields that you could enter. Here's the comments that you could enter. Product master, and you could also go to item master. So again, a lot of times these, like we said, with those comments, you want it specifically on a new item and not have to have it in an offer. So that was this one enhancement here, is to generate this product ID. I'm going to go back to product level forecast and look at the sum of selected fields. So if I click and highlight, and this is something that's available in Excel, so we kind of copied it here also and highlighted, I could see the average, count, and sum. And like Linda had mentioned, make sure you see your status bar. Make sure that's checked in the view. And you could do that here at the forecast level, or you could come into history, and you could also, highlight these actual units to see, and it'll show you the total here. All right, and the other thing is you could do this, hold down control. So let's say I want to look at my internet offers, and I might have it in different divisions. I could highlight this, hold down control, and then go to the other internet offers and highlight those as well. and then it'll give me the sum of both and the average. So this way I could get the average across all of those. The other thing you could do is you could go into average or weighted price for offers, and you could see your average price here. You could combine two columns if you wanted to. I don't know if that would always work to give you good information, but it would, and you do have the ability to do that. So it's a nice feature to be able to go in there and select these cells and see the sum of these fields. All right, the next enhancement is mix percent, where we added the sort on the offer ID. So some companies have a large number of offer IDs, and so before this version, this upgrade, you weren't able to sort. So now you could go in here, sort ascending or descending, and that just helps you show this information, basically. All right, let me link to materials planning, where we'll take a look at the SKU group. Now, when you first open materials planning, it's on this product item. When you go to SKU group, some users save this basically. Let's say his is grouping. If I want to always group by descriptor 1, here I could go in here and do the different sizes, let's say, or if this was colors, and I come out of this, I want this to remain. I want that SKU group to remain so that I don't have to go in there and group it each time. This is user specific. It will work when you go out of materials planning and come back in with another number. You could see that that remained there. So that's just good information to have, just makes it easier, especially when you're grouping that SKU group. All right, let's take a look. Now, the next couple are related to multi-echelon and basically doing transfers. So here, if I click on a particular SKU, I could click on schedule receipts up here, or you could do it here also, schedule receipts. So now we could see we have our receipts, our purchase orders and requisitions, our transfers, and then consolidated. So here you'll be able to see those consolidated receipts. So we just added that tab. So it's just good information, easier information to be able to group and see those. All right, let me go into the allocate transfers by requisition. This was a fairly big change. This is something that really saves you time, because usually you're doing requisitions and then you're doing transfers based on the current stock. This way, as you're doing your requisition at the same time, you could allocate your transfers. So if I go in there and I left click and I buy for all need, I could have this requisition here. I go to create requisition. And I'm just going to change this for now. And you see you have a checkbox here whether to allocate the requisition or not. This is user specific. So if you are doing transfers and don't want to do this, you could just uncheck this and this will remain. Okay, so this way you're creating your requisitions, you're not going to have that allocation. But if you do have that allocation, you would check that box and you go to requisition allocation. So here you could see the system will go in, it will determine what you need for those warehouses. So this is your need at the time of the buy, basically, or when that requisition is going to be received. You see your different warehouses and your total ME, that's your total transfers, a multi-echelon. You'll also see the needs for your direct, basically your main warehouse or your supplier warehouse, and then a total. So the system will go in at that point, see your needs for the warehouse, see your needs for multi-echelon for those transfers, and allocate that directly. And you could go in here and there's different things you could edit. You could adjust, you could align to lot, which could align one line, let's say, to lot, or you could align all to lot, basically. Oh, that didn't work good. All right, let me let me get out of that. And actually, let me refresh here. I want to go in and bring in a larger. So I'm a buy for all need, 100%. Go to requisition. Again, you could align to lot here, but could also do it on the transfer or on the requisition. All right. Well, actually, align to lot in this case might not be good because my case lot is 20. I might have to increase this, so I'm not going to do it in this case. So that is working as designed. We have those parameters set that way. So I'm not going to align to lot, but if you had larger quantities, you could align to lot each line or one, basically. Actually, let's try it with that one. There we go. It's just that these others will go down to 0, which I don't want to do. So again, align to lot, the selected line, align all to lot would be all of them. So these are the quantities that are going to go. You could go in there and change some of these if you want. So if I go in, and let's say I wanted to change this to 20 and change this to 20, I'm going to see my new total. You see here? So there's my total ME, and there's my new total. If I want to keep that, I could adjust allocation or adjust all allocation. So I have my new total and my old total. And that then would adjust the allocation. Okay? So that's a way to go in there if you want to make changes to it. That'll change it there. It'll also change it on the bottom. Okay? The other thing you could do is if you want to change this, let's say you change this to 40, but you don't want to adjust the allocation, you want to scale. I just want to keep this as 60, you could scale the allocation. So again, it'll go in there, keep your total ME units, and then scale it. So again, it's a difference between scale allocation or adjust allocation. You could also adjust, down here for the total. So if I go in here and I want to adjust this, I could go in here and that will adjust it up here also. Okay? It will adjust the direct and it'll adjust the ME. And it'll make that based on the needs, basically, and the allocation percents. All right, so when you're ready, when you finish this and you have these transfers set, you could do a validate and save. I'm not going to sort. And saying requisition is validated, do you want to create the requisition? And here it's building the transfer and it's building the requisition. So it's telling me requisition 338 is created and transfer order 764765 is created. So it automatically creates that requisition. It'll create these transfers. These transfers will be in a hold status. You do need to send us the REC in the interface. You need to send us those receipt records. So once we get that receipt, these transfers are released. They go from hold to an open status, and then they could be extracted to your host, and then you could do the transfer. All right, let's take a look at vendor order review. This is where we said the average demand and the sold last week. Here we don't have sold last week, but average demand could be from this particular warehouse, or it could be for all warehouses. So the parameter is MSSPO show warehouse demand. True would only be for this particular warehouse, and false would be for all warehouses. So depends what information you want to see. So again, you could go in there to see that average demand. So you could go in and make different decisions. Next thing we'll go look at is transfer order review. This is where we added the supplier beginning on hand and ending on hand. In this dashboard, we really don't have a beginning on hand, but we basically, the transfers are allocated based on the end of the week. And that's because we have to account for the demand, but also you might not have inventory, but you may have a receipt expected in the current week. All right. So that's why this transfer is going to generate based on a receipt that's due to come in. If you didn't want to do it and wanted to send this to your warehouse right away, you could go in there and then you could filter for the ones that are zero. Okay, so this way you're not sending a transfer to the warehouse where you don't have inventory. All right, so it's good to be able to go in there and do this filtering. Okay, and you could filter by beginning or ending and go in here and you could deselect different here, and then once you deselect these, that will change the transfers that are up there. So again, we didn't have this before. This is good information to have now. And the last enhancement is on product groups. In administration, we have our company warehouse allocation. For those that allocate transfers, we have different product groups which would have different, basically different allocations. So from here, we could go to product group maintenance. Here's the shirt. So basically what I did is we created an allocation based on product description shirt and product status of R1. We could see all in group or not in group. Now, as you get new items coming in, before this enhancement, you'd have to go in here and periodically check to add these to the group. These fall under this filter. So these basically have this product description and the status. So if you check the auto update, you will get a pop-up that'll say you have chosen to auto update this product group. The next time the interface runs, this will be refreshed. Excuse me. So if you made any changes on the search criteria, it'll be overridden by that. So basically, set these filters up the way you want. If you check this box to auto update, the next time the interface process runs, since this is checked, these two not in group will be added. Okay, without specifically having to go in there and add that. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go back to the presentation.
Thank you, Stuart. All right, just as a reminder, these are the system requirements for upgrading to our latest version. One thing we did want to call out, Windows Server 2012 will not be supported after the next 2 years, so we are recommending that you do Windows Server 2016. All right, just a general outline. Any questions around that, be sure to reach out to us and we will connect with support and make sure that we give you the correct information. All right. Well, thank you everyone for taking your time this afternoon to join us at our webinar. The next webinar is going to be focused on dynamic reports, and it is scheduled for September the 18th at 2 p.m. Please reach out to us if you have any additional questions. We thank you very much. You have a great rest of your week and a wonderful holiday weekend.